2 of our nutrition series for people who are blind or visually impaired. Here with me, Evan, the blind strength coach of Caneandablefitness, and again, we are here in my kitchen. So this is what I actually do in order to make good, healthy foods that are going to make sure that I'm able to maintain appropriate body weight, whether it be gaining or losing. Now, in the words of my brother, if you ain't tracking, you're slacking. So we need to make sure that we're actually able to count our calories and not just guess and hope that we're on the right track. That doesn't tend to lead to very good results, and it's also going to lead our intuition to maybe tempt us in some different wrong directions all the time as well. So we need to make sure that we can actually track things. We have a couple of different tools in order to make that easier. So, number 1, we have tactile measuring cups. These are super helpful. I just got these from Walmart. Right, nice and cheap, nothing specialized, but they accidentally had this tactile sensation on the bottom, and these also fold, so they're very easy to store. So I can very easily feel the 1 in here, and when it's like 1/2, I can feel the 1, I can feel the slash for the fraction, and then the 2. So we're able to keep track of how much we're using for a lot of different things. So when I'm making rice, and I'll show you our accessible rice cooker here in a second, I'm able to scoop 1 cup of rice, dump that in, and I usually do 2, dump that in, and then I'm able to take the water, use the same exact measuring cup, and scoop that and put that in. And that way we're able to keep track of how much we're making, and then I'm also able to track, once it's cooked, how much I'm using. And I'm able to use Google, just asking my phone, hey Google, how many grams of carbs in 1 cup of cooked white rice? And then it's able to tell me, it's usually 54, and then we're able to use, again, the same exact cup to scoop that out, and I'm able to plan out my meals very easily that way. Okay. So, in order to keep track of how much weight we actually have, there's a talking food scale. Okay, when we think about how many grams or how many ounces of protein we need, we can go with ounces. Even if we're doing a liquid, fluid ounces. This is a very accessible talking food scale. So I'll turn her on here. We only have 4 buttons. The far right is the on button.
Hello.
And it takes a little bit for her to warm up. Maybe. She's shy.
It's ready.
Okay. She tells you when she's ready. Then I know that the far left is going to be the tear button. So I'll go ahead and tear something out here. I'll put a bowl down in order to measure out some chicken that I already have cooked. So I'm able to put that bowl on there. I'm going to switch it from grams to ounces, since I tend to count my protein in ounces more. That's the second button here. So we switch it to ounces. I hit the far left button to tear it or zero it out. Then I have my chicken I can add and get a few ounces of that. Typically, I'm going to do about 6 ounces per meal. So I would just continue adding chicken until I get to about that 6 grams. And then I know I have the right amount. And then a lot of times I'll just pair this with the rice that I was talking about, using a cup, cup and a half, or 2 cups, depending on the meal, of the rice. Scoop it into the same bowl to warm it up. Boom, good to go. So this makes things very easy.
Goodbye.
She's also very polite and says goodbye. So that talking food scale is able to allow me to keep track of my quantities, so I can have much more standardized meals instead of guessing. Again, a lot of times people will recommend that you have like a palm size of meat or things like that, but that is incredibly variable, and we need to make sure that we're being a little bit more precise if we're trying to get much more tangible gains. Okay, last thing I'll go over for today, and then again, this covers a huge amount of the tracking and the follow-through that we need in order to be good and precise with having consistent meals that then we're able to build upon and be able to actually change our diet appropriately instead of, again, just making these wild swings. And that is our rice cooker. Okay? This is, again, a very simple rice cooker on purpose. I've had ones where it's practically like a spaceship. It feels like NASA invented it with a bajillion buttons. This one is very simple. You can cook 1 or 2 cups of rice very consistently in this. You could go a little bit higher, but I like to do just 1 or 2 because, again, it comes out the best that way. And then there's just a little toggle switch here. So when you pull that toggle switch down when it's plugged in and you have the weight already in there, again, using our accessible measuring cups, then you pull that down, all it's going to do is it's going to cook just perfect rice. And then when it's done, it'll cook back up very audible, and you know that your rice is done, and then you're able to measure it out and have these perfect healthy meals. Now, when it comes to just meat and rice, something like that, a lot of people will find that very, very boring. What you can do in order to keep yourself in check, whether it be you're trying to shovel in a lot of food because you're trying to gain muscle, or less food but still make it entertaining and not incredibly boring and be tempted to do other things, you can actually use a wide variety of sauces. In both cases, I really like to err on the side of lower calorie sauces, so I'm getting most of my calories from high quality foods, and there's just a little bit of calories that sneak in, but nothing crazy whatsoever, with different things like, especially mustards, different flavors of mustard, especially when you're dieting, can be amazing, where you have the regular yellow mustard one day, you have a Dijon another day, and you have like a jalapeno mustard or something specialized like that a different day. They're all very low calorie, and you're able to have that different flavor, so you feel like it's a very different meal every time, but you're able to keep on track. So I'll also do fish fillets with like tilapia or a cod with rice and then mustard. And I don't know why that hits the spot so well with a little bit of salt on there. So you can figure out these base meals that are going to be satiating, and then mix it up just enough to keep things entertaining with different low calorie sauces. There's a lot of different options that you can explore these days. Hopefully this is helpful. Again, thinking about the 80-20 rule of what 20% of stuff gives you 80% of the results. Between part 1 and this part 2, with a couple of different accessibility tools, you're going to be able to keep track of things, whether it be your body weight or the weight that you're putting on the food scale and then taking in, and being able to track that appropriately with our other accessible tools. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment, and also keep supporting how we're able to help other blind people throughout the world be able to be healthier and happier by giving us a like and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with anybody you think it could help, and looking forward to providing more helpful content for the blind community down the road.